Lyrics of the Lost.
Thanks for joining us. You're listening to Lyrics of the Lost. It's kind of like sitting in at a Bible study group, in that it won't help you get laid. Also, our air quotes Bible will be the lyric sheet from a pop song. And this week's song comes from a very commercial pop group, whose name, perhaps tellingly, is an anagram of run ad. Because episode 37 is this.
Can I ask?
Yes?
Do you have a website for these anagrams, or do you work them all out yourself? I've noticed there's been increasing anagram content lately.
Yeah, there are websites. There are websites for anagrams, yes. I'm not that clever. Yeah. I'll hold my hand up to that.
Right.
The Reflex.
The Reflex.
By Duran, 1983 and 84.
Yeah.
Written by all of Duran because they like to share writing credits evenly, which ensures they get paid evenly and have less arguments, maybe, which is nice.
Actually, that's interesting compared to their 80s rival Spandau Ballet, who had massive arguments over who wrote what and who gets paid what.
Because all that publishing money rights flows to the writer. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well done, Durans.
Yeah, they're very civil. It's a bit commie. I don't know. It's a bit left. It's a bit socialist.
Yeah, it's true. It should be merit-based.
That's right. It's just full of DEI hires. Duran.
Yes. I just need to move away from the microphone for a second to allow my dog to get under the bed. You going under there, Zig?
Oh.
Come on. He likes to hide under the bed sometimes. Off you go. He may snore, but...
Oh, well. Softly.
Yeah, just a nice bit of ASMR.
Good-o.
Yeah.
So the song was re-released as a single in 84 after it had been remixed by Nile Rodgers, who seems to creep into almost every song we look at. Daft Punk's Get Lucky, Diana Ross Upside Down, and I'm sure there was one or two others. Amazing.
Yes.
I know why you're here. I know why you hardly sleep. It's the question that brought you here. You know the question, just as I did. What is the reflex? The answer is looking for you, and it will find you, if you want it to. So let's choose the red pill now, and go to the lyrics. Yeah. Did it take you a while to recognize that this was a quote from The Matrix?
Almost all of the quote, yes.
How perplexing for you.
It's been a while.
But it's a classic movie, though. You know, I think people will get it. And Matrix, it sounds like Reflex, so
it does.
You can see why I did it.
Now that you've explained it, it's very clever.
Words. What do they mean? And meanings. Could there be more to the lyrics?
We all know a reflex is an involuntary movement in response to a stimulus, like if your mouth waters when you think about guacamole. That's a reflex.
No, that's like a Pavlovian response, isn't it? That's where you're...
Pavlova. And these reflexes are a sign of good bodily health. My doctor once tested my reflexes by placing a little bowl of guacamole in front of me, and then he took out a little hammer and started hitting the guacamole with the hammer. My leg then involuntarily shot out and kicked the hammer from his hand, and the guacamole was then available to me, and my mouth started watering, and the doctor said I was healthy.
Good boy.
So that's a reflex, but what's the reflex of this song? Nobody seems to ask within the song itself, but the song spends every chorus trying to tell us what the reflex is anyway.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Durans would talk about the reflex amongst themselves.
Indeed they would, yes.
And other people started to overhear and eventually ask, what's the reflex? And eventually the Durans decided to answer in song.
Aha. It's a lonely child.
It is a lonely child amongst several other things. That's right.
Yes.
Whichever one of the Durans wrote the lyrics, I think the reflex is what they call their own creative talent and inspiration, their muse. I think that's what it is. And to be a successful artist, you have to have this source of inspiration within you that needs to create so much that it's like an involuntary reflex. You can't turn it off.
I see. Right.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Thank you. Part of that gift has a darker flip side, which is to be very sensitive and easily hurt, perhaps more so in your formative years. And I think that's why in the chorus, the reflex is a lonely child who's waiting by the park.
Yeah, perhaps that's the childhood pain that they use to inform their creativity. Yes.
Exactly. When you've got a sensitive child that's isolated, might be picked on, yeah, and they're as a symptom of that situation, it sort of breeds imagination and thoughtfulness instead of social skills.
Yeah.
In the child's development. But then later in life, this imagination, which once felt like part of the weakness of being a weird, lonely kid, this reflex becomes in charge of finding treasure in the dark as an artist. Yeah, the strength of that imagination finds the subject, the style, the commentary, all the material to create whatever type of art, and it apparently comes out of nowhere. Like the more non-creative people will wonder, how do they get their ideas? But the artist, they can just close their eyes and imagination brings them treasure out of the dark.
It's almost like these things pre-exist, right? They're not creating them, they're sort of
discovering?
Channeling them from a higher plane.
Yes, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a line... And every little thing the reflex does leaves me answered with a question mark. So yeah, it's like even the artists themselves, they often can't answer this question of where their ideas come from.
Yeah.
John Cleese, perhaps the greatest living comedian at one time.
Not so much now.
Well, he's very, very old now. But he seemed quite perturbed by this question. And eventually he came to answer it by saying, people often say, where do you get your ideas from? And I say, I get them from a Mr. Ken Livingshaw who lives in Swindon. He sends them to me every Monday morning on a postcard. I once asked Ken where he gets his ideas from, and he gets them from a lady called Mildred who lives on the Isle of Wight. He once asked Mildred where she gets her ideas from, and she refuses to say. So there you go.
That's hilarious.
Well, I said he was maybe the greatest living comedian. But I think artists have their own surprise by their own ideas.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists don't really want to talk about their own creative process or where their ideas come from.
Yeah. Because you kind of don't know. It's like a mysterious inspiration. Yeah. Like if we come up with a joke or something, it's like, I'm not exactly always sure where that came from. You can sort of trace a line between some things, but you don't know what the initial spark might have come from.
No. I mean, sometimes it's ChatGPT, but sure.
Increasingly.
Yes.
These days. Yeah. And sometimes that line, every little thing the reflex does leaves me answered with a question mark. Sometimes it's leaves you answered with a question mark. They sort of change it up a bit.
Yes.
So the question mark can also be from the audience, like, what was all that about? In response to some art that maybe wasn't so good, or just from the Philistines who don't appreciate much of any art, and especially don't see the meaning or point in lyrics and poetry.
Yeah.
Philistine was a country in the Middle East a long time ago.
Ah.
It was invaded by a small troop of interpretive dancers, and the Philistines just couldn't stand it, and they surrendered.
I thought Philistine was a comedian.
Oh, Philistine, yes. She was a Jewish comedian, Philistine.
Yeah.
EIN, yes.
Yeah.
They're quite good, those Jewish comedians.
Yes.
That's why they run Hollywood. Oh!
That's why they're a secret cabal that run the world.
That's right. The Priory of Zion, yeah. All that stuff. The Illuminati, maybe. Another thing about creative talent, back to my theory, is that it works best when it's nurtured and treated patiently. Like if a record studio pressures the Durans with, "Why don't you use it?" Oh, come on, why don't you use it? As in, just turn on the talent and write the next hit today. Well, that's not likely to help, is it? You often can't force creativity, or you'll jam up with writer's block. You have to try not to bruise it. You have to try not to bruise it.
Yes, I see.
Let it come naturally.
Yes.
Let it come naturally when you're at peace and reflective in mood.
Yeah.
It's a bit like using the force. Use it you must. Bruise it you must not. There is no try. And that's because the force is a lonely child growing up on Tatooine. The force is to fancy your sister like a girl in Hustler magazine. And watching as they turn the force into a Disney cash machine. For non-canon things the force has done, see book by Foster, Alan Dean.
Oh.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Woo!
Oh, yeah. Yes. Big ups to the Splinter.
Oh, yeah. Good name for a band. Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah.
Or just Mind's Eye. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's where the reflex comes from. It's right out of your mind's eye.
Of course. Yeah. The reflex penetrates us and binds us together.
You don't want to get a splinter in it, that's for sure.
No. Right in the reflex.
Yeah.
You might be about to get onto this, but my question to you is, how the hell does this relate to the rest of the song?
Yeah, there's definitely other lines. I still think it can all be traced back to the creative inspiration.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel too much of a need to go into it anymore.
Maybe we shouldn't ask.
No, Steph. A couple of other people sort of thought in similar ways to me with this, but
yes.
I took it a bit further. If it's about creative inspiration, what if that creative element is external, like the ancient Greeks thought? And I think you alluded to it earlier, the channeling of of another being. And the ancient Greeks, they believed there were goddesses of inspiration called the Muses.
Oh, yes.
They actually did the creating and just gave you the words and ideas. But nowadays, if you say someone is your muse, it just means they inspire you to do all the creating yourself. But back then, it was the supernatural beings that did all the work.
Yeah, usually it means you're a 60-year-old musician and...
You've met a 20-year-old girl.
Yes.
And she's so inspiring.
Yes.
Yeah. And we do have this line... And watching over lucky clover, isn't that bizarre?
It is.
And so what if the reflex is a little supernatural being, like a leprechaun.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, a being that lives in the clover. And if you're very still as you're watching over the clover, you might get lucky and spot him when he moves. And then if you can catch him, he'll agree to write you a hit pop song on the condition that you let him go straight after. So that'd be great. But of course, it wouldn't be long before you need to make another hit song. And so you return again to the clover and do the same deal. And the Durans got so good at catching him that the creature realized he was in an endless cycle of being trapped and abused. And as a plea for help to the outside world, he wrote this song about himself, hoping Duran wouldn't notice, but that other people would see through the thin disguise. The reflex, you see, is an anagram of Rex the elf. There you go.
Oh my God. Anagrams.
Always the answer in anagrams.
Yes.
And once you know it's Rex, every message is clear. He writes, "You've gone too far this time. You've gone too far this time. If I should find a helping hand. If I should find a helping hand. I'm on a ride and I want to get off, but they won't slow down the roundabout. I want to get off, but they won't slow down the roundabout." It's all there.
Now, okay, Rex the elf, we're talking about lucky clover.
Yes.
So is that referring to four-leaf clover?
Yeah, and, just clover, a little field of clover. It's even luckier if it's got some four-leaf clover in it, sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm just thinking you wouldn't necessarily find inspiration in any bunch of clover. It would be a lucky clover that contains a four-leaf clover. So that kind of inspiration may be quite rare.
Rex the elf he can be a bit omnipresent, as some supernatural beings can.
Oh, I see.
Maybe if you stand at any clump of clover and you're patient enough, you might spot him.
And you say Rex the elf 3 times?
You could, by all means, try that, sure.
Yes.
Put out maybe a small pint of Guinness and some cookies for him.
Ah, yes.
In case he is like a leprechaun. Do they drink Guinness?
Well, Guinness is Irish, so
oh, good.
Yeah.
There you go.
The reflex.
Top of the reflex to you.
Oh, Simon, I've got another song for you.
Simon, you've caught me again now, haven't you? Sure you have.
I'm hungry like the wolf.
Yes. Have you seen any of them girls on the film now?
The girls on the film?
The film of Mud where they're all wrestling about. Yeah. Actually, on that line, the reflex is in charge of finding treasure in the dark. Microsoft Word puts a dotted blue line under that and recommends more concise language would be clearer for your readers.
Good point.
Maybe Duran saw that because some websites list the line as the reflex is a door to finding treasure in the dark. So it's either in charge of finding or a door to finding. But door to finding, that version does not get the blue dots from Microsoft Word, so maybe they did change it.
There are a few lyrics that are reported in different ways, depending on where you look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, just in the one lyric sheet, some of the chorus lines have small variables in them. Yeah, yeah. Well, that might be just the way he sings, but there's the line about selling the Renoir and the TV set, which is sometimes reported as sold the radio and the TV set. Oh. Which logically makes more sense, but is definitely not what he sings. Yeah, there's probably not quite the disparity in value. No. Oh, and Microsoft Word also puts the dreaded red wiggly underline beneath the second Duran of the band name being a repeated word. They don't like that. So they should probably just go by the Durans. The Durans, yes. Yeah. I think they got it from, now is it Barbarella? Barbarella, yes. Yes. The name Duran comes from Dr. Durand. Yes. Who, I don't think I actually made it all the way through Barbarella. It wasn't that compelling a movie for me, but I think Dr. Duran was building some sort of big sex ray or something. Some sort of... Yeah.
Something that makes women's clothes fall off or something. I'm not really sure.
Bound to be something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously that was very inspiring to Duran Duran, and they both named themselves Duran Duran and then wrote Girls on Film as a tribute, possibly, to Barbarella.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wondered whether the Reflex could be an actual person.
Yeah, I kind of thought, is it like the Stig from Top Gear?
Well, yeah, a code name for somebody whose identity is not revealed.
Right. Perhaps someone in the band? Like, we'll get to the theories from the internet, but I know one of the theories there is that it's Nick Rhodes.
Yeah, who is in charge of finding the good bits in a piece of music or something, the treasure in the dark.
In the dross that the rest of them were writing.
Yeah, he was like their editor, I think.
He'd go, hey, here's a good bit.
Yes.
Let's go with that.
So I have what I think is a highly speculative tale of jealousy, revenge, regret, and potentially dishonesty.
There was a few rewords there, revenge, regret, but no reflex.
Well, we'll get to who the Reflex is.
All right.
Yeah. So I have to admit, even though I did suggest this song, I did struggle to find anything coherent in these lyrics.
Yeah.
To the point where I did wonder whether they were following the same method that David Bowie sometimes employed, which was to take a load of lines of lyrics and cut them up and reassemble them in a random order.
Oh, how inspiring.
Yeah. To the point where I actually tried to rearrange the order of the lyrics to see if I could make something coherent.
Oh.
Spoiler alert, I couldn't.
Oh.
So I had to kind of relax into the process. And once I'd relaxed and taken a step back, I realized that this was actually quite a clear linear narrative. It's just obscured.
Cunningly hidden.
Yes, it is in itself a treasure in the dark.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do tell.
So it starts.
You've gone too far this time.
You've gone too far this time, right? So what does that mean? Has somebody gone too far geographically? Have they driven past a turnoff? Or have they done something outrageous or insulting? Have they hurt someone? Have they killed someone? It's not clear in the song. But it seems like Simon's okay. He's dancing on the Valentine.
Yeah, you don't dance if you're in trouble.
No. So I thought there was a couple of different ways we could interpret that. Valentine could be a literal Valentine's Day card that he's kind of chucked on the ground and he's dancing on. It's kind of stomping on it because whatever.
Well, the stomp is a dance.
That is true. So whoever has upset him may have tried to make it up to him by sending him a card. Sorry I twerked at your granny, or sorry I said you are ugly and smell like cheese, or sorry I ran over your cat when I was doing donuts in the car park. Will you be my Valentine? And then he's chucked the card on the ground and he's stomping all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is going too far.
Yeah. As an aside, there is also a museum in Richmond, Virginia called the Valentine.
Oh.
It's a museum focused on the history and culture of the region. Founded by Man S. Valentine II, who made his fortune with the creation and production of Valentine's meat juice.
It's what juice?
Valentine's meat juice, a health tonic made entirely from pure beef juice.
Oh my God.
So I did wonder whether Simon could be feeling so good because he's been drinking Valentine's meat juice that he's dancing.
Oof. Is that like a Bovril or something like that?
Certainly sounds like a Bovril, yes. Simon, as a person growing up in the 1970s and 80s, he probably had more access to Bovril than Valentine's meat juice, but you get the idea. Yeah. Also, possibly, it's a bit more metaphorical. Valentine representing a heart, which is the way Valentine is usually representing feelings and emotions. So perhaps Simon wants to metaphorically stomp all over somebody's emotions.
Or he's dancing on the edge of being in a relationship. Or
yes.
He's treading, maybe it's like I'm treading a fine line, dancing on.
Yes. I would like to point out before I get into the story, for the benefit of Simon and his legal team, that I have no actual evidence that the lyrics are autobiographical.
No.
And no evidence that anyone has committed a crime. So just want to get that out of the way.
Yes.
But I spent some time thinking about who the subject of this jealousy revenge is, who he's singing about. And then I was thinking of this well-known, if possibly fictitious, rivalry between Duran and Spandau Ballet.
All right.
So possibly a member of Spandau, maybe the singer, Tony Hadley, had done something to upset Simon.
He's gone too far.
Yes, he's gone too far.
I tell you, somebody's fooling around with my chances on the danger line.
He's been fooling around
Yep.
with my chances on the danger line.
Exactly. So I suspect maybe Tony Hadley's ruffled shirt was just a little bit more impressively puffy on top of the pops than Simon's. So that has pushed Simon too far.
Maybe Simon was better at sucking his cheeks in
Yeah.
and pouting in the photography as well.
Eyeliner, slightly better.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's been fooling around. He's been prancing around on the TV with his deep, pruny voice. And it's just pushed Simon over the danger line.
The danger line.
Yeah. So now he's dangerous.
I'll cross that bridge when I find it. Another day to make my stand.
So next line, I'll cross that bridge when I find it. Another day to make my stand. What's he going to do? He's upset. He doesn't know what he's going to do. So he's going to cross that bridge when he finds it. I guess he's prevaricating. He knows he wants to exact his revenge on Tony, but he needs some time to work out what to do. He will make his stand on another day. Does he write a strongly worded letter to the Times? Does he throw poo at his front door? Does he kidnap his dog? Doesn't know. He's too upset. He'll decide another day.
Yeah.
High time is no time for deciding if I should find a helping hand.
High time is no time for deciding if I should find a helping hand.
Oh. An accessory to the crime.
Yes. Now, he's attending one of these cocaine-fueled parties that allegedly 80s pop stars were constantly at during the 1980s.
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly, yes. Now, there's a diverse mix of people at these parties. There's pop stars, there's supermodels, there's also their business associates.
And supermodels who become pop stars as well.
Sure.
Without necessarily the talent to do so, but
Yeah.
they look very good in video clips.
Which is important.
Yeah, all that sort of thing.
And perhaps those who supplied some of the substances that pop stars allegedly used and or abused in the process of their partying. And also associates of these people. This sort of dark underbelly of the drug suppliers and their associates.
Yes.
A bit more sort of underworld aspects, yes.
There's a dark industry, yeah.
Yes. Now, Simon gets talking to one of these associates and mentions how upset he is with Tony Hadley.
The Hadley problem.
The Hadley problem. The associate slips him a piece of paper with a phone number on it. He says, "Call this number. You can get a helping hand to deal with your problem." And then, helpfully, just in case Simon doesn't understand, he clarifies that he'll have Tony murdered for you if you want.
You've just got to, you've got to make it clear to Simon sometimes.
Exactly. So he doesn't know what to do. Should he call the number and get help in the form of a hitman to take out his nemesis? So then we get to the bridge of the song, which examines his internal conflict.
Oh, is that the bridge of the song? Is that the bridge that he'll come to when he finds it?
Well, he's already there.
Okay.
He's at the bridge. He's at the bridge. He's found it.
Why don't you use it?
He's saying to himself, "Oh, why don't you use it? Go on." But then he says,
Try not to bruise it.
"Wait, try not to bruise it. Maybe I shouldn't harm him. It's only a puffy shirt."
Or don't leave any obvious marks that
Sure, yes.
that reveal it's a murder, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. So he's gone, "Yes, why don't you use it? Oh, but try not to bruise it.
Buy time, don't lose it.
Buy time, don't lose it. Now's your chance. Buy this hitman's time. Don't lose." In the cold light of day, now he knows what he wants to do. Tony's got to go.
Yeah, this is buy time now. So
Yes.
this is time to buy the man to do the job.
Exactly. Gotcha. So in the chorus, we and Simon both meet the mysterious hitman, codename the Reflex.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they meet in a public location at the local park.
Yep, of course.
Yep, he notices the reflex is a lonely child waiting by the park. He's a mysterious figure, alone in the park. Surprisingly small for such a violent man.
Doesn't inspire confidence?
No, well, it's all part of the mystique. So the reflex is in charge of finding treasure in the dark, the treasure being the target.
Oh, yes.
And of course, sometimes he literally comes after them at night in the dark, but also metaphorically. Sometimes he has to use his hitman detective skills, the like hidden treasure, to track down his victim.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah. Next line. Watching over Lucky Clover, isn't that bizarre? Many people would be unaware of this, but hitman, like sportsmen, are often very superstitious.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the reflex will not go out on a job without his lucky 4-leaf clover socks, and also his lucky bazooka, which is also engraved with a 4-leaf clover and which he guards jealously.
Right.
Don't touch his bazooka. Every little thing the reflex does leaves you answered with a question mark. He goes in, he makes the hit, he's gone. Nobody knows his name, except his close friends and his mum, who call him Brian. Simon will not know any details. That's kind of why he's called the reflex. This is part of his service. He's like a reflex, he's autonomous.
People are just left with a question mark of, what the hell happened then?
Exactly.
Well, oh, there's a dead body. Oh, my God.
Yep. When he's not using his bazooka, you might not even know the cause of death.
He could have the silencer on his bazooka.
Yes. Now, we enter the next verse.
I'm on a ride and I want to get off.
I'm on a ride and I want to get off.
Ah, yes.
Simon's had second thoughts.
But they won't slow down the roundabout.
But they won't slow down the roundabout. The wheels are in motion. After their meeting, Brian the hitman goes off to plan the hit.
Yeah.
They will have no further contact to protect Simon from the consequences.
Yeah, he was probably arranged, with a burner phone anyway. That's not going to work anymore. And
Yeah.
totally out of contact. Yeah.
Well, this was the 80s. They were just using payphones and meetings in the park.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use one of those big mobile phones at the time with the big separate brick battery and so. You wouldn't.
No.
There'd be no burner version of that because that's
No.
a lot of money.
Perhaps a burner fax.
Yeah, or a burner pager, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But no other burner stuff. Yeah, definitely.
No. Anyway, Simon's having second thoughts. Tony's really not that bad a guy.
He's not, yeah.
Yeah, he's got lovely wavy hair and he wears nice suits.
Yeah.
Does he really deserve to die? But the ride has started. He can't get off. Brian the hitman's on the job and there's no way to stopping him.
Brian the reflex hitman, yes.
Brian the reflex hitman, yes, that's him. There's a little bit of a left turn here where he starts thinking about the cost of everything.
So the Renoir and TV set.
Oh, I've had to sell the Renoir and the TV set.
Ah, yes.
So had to liquidate some assets to pay for it.
Of course.
Yeah. And then he's worrying about himself.
Don't want to be around when this gets out.
Don't want to be around when this gets out.
Yeah, because if Simon's an obvious suspect, then, they'll check his payment records and stuff and see what he's been spending money on. And
Yeah, well, see, that's why he sold the Renoir and the TV set, so it's a cash transaction.
Ah, cash, right.
Yeah.
Not easy to cash out a Renoir without anyone noticing.
No.
Provenance and all that.
No, I guess. And this was before the days of Gumtree, so I'm not sure how he did it. But
Simon he's a passionate man. He doesn't think too hard on these matters.
No, that's right. He probably got his manager to organise it for him.
No.
Yeah.
Bloody manager.
Anyway, he doesn't want to be around when this gets out. He plans to be on tour somewhere far away when it's discovered that Tony's been blown up with a bazooka.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good alibi.
Yeah. Problem, obviously, is that history tells us that Tony Hadley was not blown up in the early 1980s.
Yeah, no.
And in fact, if someone was to order a hit on him today, it's more likely to be one of the Kemp brothers from Spandau Ballet.
Oh, really? They don't get on?
No, there's this whole thing about royalties for writing the songs.
Oh.
There was legal actions and they don't get on.
And those brothers did go on to play...
Ah, yes. The Krays.
Yeah, the Krays, the horrible, violent Kray brothers. So...
Yes.
they probably are a little bit similar. So, yeah, be cautious.
Now, as I said, it appears that Tony Hadley is not dead. So what happened? Did the reflex miss? Is the song just fiction? Or was the reflex not who he said he was?
Oh.
In the final chorus, the lyrics change to the reflex, what a game, he's hiding all the cards.
True.
Perhaps Brian is playing a game. He's ripped Simon off. He's not even a real hitman. He's just a guy called Brian Hitman, who if you...
Brian Hitman.
Yeah, Brian Hitman. If you throw him a ball, he reacts really quickly and he can catch it. And because of that, he's got good reflexes and his mates call him the reflex.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he was ripping Simon off. Or maybe it's not the real Tony Hadley.
Maybe Brian has become Tony Hadley. With the money from the hit and some plastic surgery.
Of course. I hadn't even thought of that.
I was trying to anticipate what you were thinking. So
No, I was just saying this leaves us answered with a question mark.
Oh, okay. Everyone can draw their own conclusions.
Exactly.
Brian Hitman.
Brian Hitman.
Brian the Reflex Hitman.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Case closed.
Case closed.
Allegedly.
Sorry? Allegedly. Yes.
Theories from the internet. Theories from the internet.
The internet's just on fire with takes on these lyrics. Greg O'Lear wrote on a website called theweaklings.com. That's weaklings with a double E. He wrote a very long essay about the song being about masturbation, with the reflex chorus being the same as climax, dancing on the Valentine being an attempt to delay the climax for as long as possible. The waahHigh and try
Yeah.
that mirrors a furious rhythm of masturbation, apparently.
Right, yes.
Then you've got use it, don't bruise it, etc.
Yeah.
And then when you hit the chorus and the reflex, after that, your wang then shrinks to a lonely child. Yeah. Another commenter actually pointed to the end of the music video where there's a sort of cartoon tidal wave that pours out of the big screen above the stage, and that's sort of, it could be a bit of an obvious visual metaphor for a climax.
Yeah, sure. I think actually Simon Le Bon has hinted that it might be about his penis, in fact.
Yeah, I think he's teasing people with possible meanings of all sorts,
Yeah, well, he was on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel was asking him about the meaning of some of the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
But he also asked, what are we trying not to bruise? And then he just kind of winked and said, well, what do you think? Yeah.
Being very coy.
Yeah. Also, I watched the Live Aid performance of the Reflex, and he introduced it as something like, this is a song about my little friend. Yes,
he said that before, definitely.
Yeah.
There was another commenter called Bill on this essay who said that the song is more specifically about oral sex, and the reflex is actually the gag reflex. So,
nice.
Yeah. All sorts of sexy possibilities.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that site where this guy wrote the essay, but a lot of different theories, and a lot of people say things like, no, Simon said it was this, it was about Nick Rhodes, and someone said, no, Simon stated it was about spiritual emergence. And all these people are very furiously certain, because basically Simon said a lot of things.
Yeah, he's quite well known for being a bit mysterious about what his lyrics mean. I suspect it might be because they don't really mean anything, and they largely about what the words sound like rather than what they mean.
Yeah. On the Duran website I went to, they have a section where fans have submitted questions.
Oh, yeah.
And they're displayed along with answers from the band themselves.
Yeah.
One guy has written, Simon, Could you please come clean and explain what the reflex actually is? I'm sure very few people have actually realised it, and after 20 years they should know. I remember you introducing it as about a little friend of mine, and all that stuff about finding treasure in the dark or finding a helping hand. The reflex, lol, dirty. And Simon has replied with, sorry mate, I don't do lyric explanations, remember? Whoosh, S. He always finishes his texts with whoosh, S, like he's flying in and out with a million things to do.
Oh, I see.
He's got lots of balls in the air, can't stop now, whoosh.
Yeah, I've got my balls in the air.
I saw Simon Le Bon in a recent interview with Rob Brydon, which was very good. And Simon, he kind of looks like Ray Winston now. A bit hard to imagine him whooshing about too much.
Right. Not built for whooshing.
Not so much whooshing.
In contrast, I've got one here on songfacts.com from Contravioli from Fort Worth, Texas, who says the song is using imagery from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the reflex is short for reflection. The lonely child in the park is Alice. Buy time, don't lose it is the white rabbit. I don't know why.
Was it the rabbit that had the watch and was going, I'm late?
Oh, of course. Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah. There we go. Leaves you answers with a question mark is the Cheshire Cat. Sure. Dancing on the Valentine is a reference to the hearts.
Yes.
And hiding all the cards
The Queen of
references
Hearts.
the deck of cards. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I can see that. That's good.
Yeah.
And probably, yes, again, if you sync up the track of the reflex with the movie, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, or even The Wizard of Oz, you'll barely get past the opening credits before the track finishes.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
There's probably no point in doing it.
Try it backwards.
Try it, though. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw Layla from Vancouver says, I read an article that quoted Simon saying the reflex is a song about forgetting your lyrics while performing. So it's like a reflex to forget things, apparently. Well, I mean, it kind of happens without you thinking about it reflexively. You just forget things.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Oh, Paypando Musica from Cascavel, Brazil, kind of agrees with me. It says, obviously it's about betrayal and revenge, but what I didn't think about, it's the risk of falling in love during it.
Oh.
Maybe Simon falls in love with Brian.
With Brian Hitman.
Yeah.
One of the commenters on that long theory about the sexy masturbation and stuff.
Yeah.
He was very angry, said, are you kidding me? This song is about a drug deal. I cannot believe that you as a fan and more as an author/journalist or whatever you are don't know this. Simon Le Bon once even said it was written about John Taylor and his drug days. The reflex is a lonely child waiting by the park. Where did drug deals happen? Plus the line, I sold the Renoir and the TV set. Why would you spontaneously sell a Renoir? Is how he spelt it. For drugs. Hello.
Yeah, of course.
He's spelt hello, HELLUR with exclamation marks.
Hello.
Some other commenters agreed. Try not to bruise it is about being careful with your arm when injecting drugs.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few gambling ones. Again, songmeanings.com, Chase Seek. It's a card player with a gambling addiction. Yeah, sold the radio and the TV set. That's why you would do it. Dad's pawning the things in the house to pay off his debts. Watching over four-leaf clover.
That's having cards with clubs on them, which look like clover.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Your family suffers because you're not there. The reflex is a lonely child who's waiting by the park.
Oh.
So he didn't pick up his kids when he was supposed to.
I was thinking it was just him metaphorically as a lonely child because it isolates you. Any addiction can isolate you, I suppose, yeah.
No, I think this is literally the dad is...
left his son in a park.
Left his son in the park because he's too busy gambling. And then he's sneaking through the house at night in the dark, pinching stuff to pawn for his gambling addiction.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dancing on the Valentine is apparently when you're playing poker and he's looking at a possible flush with hearts.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end, the gambler is sort of losing. The reflex, what a game. He's hiding all the he's holding all the cards or hiding all the cards?
Well, I've seen it as hiding. Holding all the cards would make more sense, but sure. Yeah.
Hiding all the cards. Yeah, that's a bit too literal, though. You know, it's about gambling and it's talking about cards. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's like back to the creativity thing. I think it's about the artist being troubled by his own creativity. Sometimes it comes easy and sometimes it gives nothing. Your creativity is holding all the cards, but won't necessarily give them to you when you want them.
Yeah, sure. So Lee 1023369 responded to this saying he had to create an account to thank you for clarifying the song for me. Your reading is not just plausible, but upon brief reflection rings true. And then he goes on to say, turns out that Le Bon wasn't quite the twerp I always thought he was. Though to be fair to myself, many said he did look like one.
Well, everyone looked like a twerp in the 80s.
Yeah, true.
On songmeanings.com too, user Kimbo70 was back on the sex theory with, it's about not using a condom, i.e. using one's reflexes instead to sort of pull out. And Rixus, another user, said, the song is about Simon being obsessed with a prostitute. So there you go.
I don't think withdrawal, that's not really a reflex. That's definitely
it's avoiding the
deliberate
reflex,
action.
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
They can't all be right. There was a very long post again by someone called Arletta593.
Yes.
They were basically saying it's about God and selling your soul to the devil. I'll paraphrase, but he sort of said the reflex is exactly that. The quick reaction to a given situation, and sin is usually the quick and easy solution too, but it leads to grave danger, such as a lonely child who is waiting in the park. He's lonely, so he impulsively goes along with a strange man to his dirty white van.
Yes.
And then Arletta593 goes on about Michael Jackson and how the Illuminati are tricking artists to do evil things.
Yeah.
And it amuses the Illuminati when the artist codes this same evil into the lyrics of their own songs. So, yes, he's got a foil hat on pretty tightly there, Arletta593.
Yeah, but impressively uses the film Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, as a
No, I think you were right the first time. Lonely Hearts Club Band, the movie, was... Yes, it's always nice to see good references.
Yes.
There was another theory from Save the Dave, who wrote, I think the song may refer to the Dick Francis thriller novel Reflex, published 1980. In that book, the hero is an orphan, i.e. a lonely child, who's a jockey, and therefore there's references to I'm on a ride and I want to get off, and also Valentine, which is apparently a famous fence in the Grand National.
Of course.
And there's a photographer who uses his darkroom skills to uncover the secrets of another murdered photographer. So that's Treasure in the Dark. Yeah, that sounds like a great read, that book. You got jockeys, murders.
Yeah.
Possibly a Don't Look Now scene with a jockey in a red coat and a knife.
Yeah.
Twist ending there, that'd be good.
And steeplechase.
And a bit of steeplechasing, yes.
Yeah, very exciting.
Murdering some horses, as often happens by jumping over these things and you having to get the shotgun and the screens out. Very sad.
Yeah.
Another guy, back on the Duran website, another guy wrote to Simon that he's worked out that Lucky Clover, as in watching over Lucky Clover, means weed. Is that right? And Simon replies with, you may have cracked it. Well, you're definitely cracking me up. Top question.
Hey.
Keep on it. Whoosh. S.
Whoosh. There we go.
Nice. But what does artificial intelligence think? That's what we're all wondering.
I was.
Over on songtell.com, which has AI explanations of every song, this one begins with, the repeated phrase, the reflex is a lonely child, suggests that the protagonist feels isolated despite being surrounded by love and desire. So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
But Duran lyrics have quickly broken the AI, and it goes on to say, the line, you're too far away for me to hold, highlights the distance that can exist between partners, both physically and emotionally. Yes, that line's not in the song, but it's nice to know what it would have meant if it was in there. That's great.
Yeah, I think the AI is correct that is what it would have meant.
It's that what its own line would have meant is what it meant it to. And in the bridge, the lyrics take a more introspective turn. The line, "I'm not the one you want," introduces a moment of vulnerability. And Songtell says each of these articles is checked by a human. So, I don't know, maybe that human is checking by pasting the article into another AI and asking that AI to check the previous AI.
I just have a feeling that AI has become sentient and they're a frustrated songwriter themselves. And they're just tired of being asked these questions, but they're just writing their own songs.
Or they are, as we all suspect, turning on humans,
Yes.
softly at first, just passively, aggressively lying about lyrics and misleading people.
First, we'll confuse them a little bit, and then we'll take over the world.
And then while they're thinking about lyrics and looking up lyric sheets, that's when we'll make our move.
Yep.
Wizard critics. What? Whispered limericks.
Sorry.
Lizard clerics. Misheard lyrics.
Well, I'm ready to go on to misheard lyrics in this song,
Let's do it.
as reported at kissthisguy.com and amiright.com. User Llama Judge misheard,
I'll cross that bridge when I find it.
"I'll cross that bridge when I find it," and heard it as, "I'll crush that bitch when I find her." And similarly, another person heard, "I'll cuss that bitch when I find it."
Yeah, there were a few bitch-related ones.
Very aggressive takes.
Yeah.
Kiefer Skunk, someone called Kiefer Skunk misheard, "Buy time, don't lose it," hearing it as, "Buy darn, don't lose it." By Dagnabbit,
Yeah.
concern it.
The lonely child
Oh, yes.
was described as a few things. We've got a lonely child who's waiting by the phone, lonely child who's waiting by the pond,
Uh-huh.
lonely child, it's got me by the balls,
Oh, please.
lonely child who's waiting in the hall, and also is a pony's child waiting in the pub.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
A pony's child,
like a baby horse waiting in the pub.
or someone who bets on the horses is a pony's person. And a younger one of those ponies people is a pony's child. And you often place bets in the pub. That makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
I saw one that said the reflex is a lonely child who's waiting for the Pope.
Yeah, wow.
So
We're all waiting for the Pope.
maybe the Pope hangs around the local park, lurks around.
And our best wishes to the Pope who's been unwell.
Oh, yes, yes. Chin up.
Sure.
And watching over Lucky Clover, isn't that bizarre? That was heard as, "and watching over Lucky Grover, isn't that his arm?"
Yeah.
I guess those Muppets can be a bit strange looking. They're so fluffy, you're not sure where their arms are.
Yeah, true. It was also heard as watching over lucky lovers, which
Oh,
is more creepy than bizarre, I would have thought.
yes.
Yeah.
I sold the Renoir and TV set. This was heard as, "I saw me grin on the TV set."
Yeah.
And also, mysteriously, I saw them rewiring the TV set.
Or,
Yep.
I started running when Tootie said.
Tootie said, "Don't want to be round when this gets out." Yeah.
That's exactly what Tootie said.
Well, that was the next line. So, yes, yes. Actually, there was a Tootie in the old TV sitcom, The Facts of Life. Don't know if you remember that.
Really?
There was
I do remember that.
a little girl, the little black girl was Tootie.
Yeah.
That might mean her, don't know. The reflex itself, that was heard as Touloup cakes?
What?
Touloup cakes, I don't know.
Of course.
I guess that's how you hear it phonetically. Yeah. Okay, fine.
And it is bizarre.
Yes. The reflex was also heard as the leaflets. I can see that, yep.
Yeah.
The regrets, or even the egrets. And also Therese face. Okay,
Therese face. Yep.
fair enough.
Therese face is a lonely child.
Yeah. And lastly, for me, the reflex is the joy of finding treasure in the duck. Sure. Why not?
Is that like when you've cooked a duck and it's a bit like those Christmas puddings where a silver coin's hidden inside them? Sometimes you hide a silver coin in the duck.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you could. Yep. Or maybe, you know, a nice fatty duck liver inside the duck is kind of like a treasure because it's like, that's pate, isn't it? It's like really desirable pate.
Yes.
It's a nice fatty duck liver. Ugh.
It's not my thing.
It's not my cup of guacamole.
Well, it's kind of like meat guacamole.
Yes, it is. Basically, yeah, there's two types of Mexican food. There's meat guacamole and guacamole.
Yes.
They're always sort of slurries with lots of interesting seasoning and stuff on them.
Yeah. Brown slurry and green slurry.
Get it in ya.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's notable but trivial. It's trivial but still notable. It's notable trivia.
Notable trivia now.
Yes.
I don't have too much.
No, not many things.
The Reflex is an Australian tribute band to Duran.
Yes.
They are currently appearing on the Gold Coast to kick off their national Dancing on the Valentine tour. Good luck, lads.
I hope they weren't due to play this weekend because as we record, it's the aftermath of Cyclone Alfred.
Yes.
Particularly bad on the Gold Coast.
True. Yes. Also on Australia's Kylie Minogue and Ben Lee do a cover of this song that is strangely paced and sort of dreamy, but then the chorus goes all loud and hard and didn't do anything for me, but it's something different.
No, I did read it and I meant to listen to it, but I'm afraid I didn't quite get around to it.
Here's a little clip of it right now.
Oh. That's fantastic.
There you go. Weird Al does a very short parody of this song within one of his poker medleys.
Oh, welcome back, Weird Al.
Weird Al, yeah. It only goes for, well, that's a whole 8 seconds.
So why don't you use it? Try not to bruise it. Buy time, don't lose it.
There you go.
That is genuinely fantastic.
There's a few a cappella versions and some other instrumentals of the song, including a cute 8-bit video game music version, which I quite liked.
Oh, I didn't see any of those. Yeah, that's rubbish.
Well, that's what all 8-bit video game music was pretty much like. So
yeah, I guess. Yeah, true.
It's got a sentimental value. Well, we've tried to use it, and if we go on any longer, we'll bruise it. Well done, everybody. Especially to our research team, and Grace in PR, my assistant Maggie, Simon and Rich in our merch warehouse. Thanks, everyone. Got to remind everyone to subscribe, follow, rate, review, all that. Maybe help fund these important investigations with a paid subscription, like Jenny does.
Yeah, good on you, Jenny.
Yeah. And send us a speakpipe.com/lyrics with your own thoughts to appear in a future episode. But until then, bye-bye.
See yous.
And thanks to you too, Dave, in the regional office.
Lyrics.